Buenos días, muchachos. España están campeones del mundo. World Cup final on last night. Do you think myself and Emma went out to watch it, despite living in the country where the team who won it are? Nah, we were in bed last night for 9 p.m. And you know what? Part of me wanted to go out to watch it because, you know, Spain are probably going to win. But I'm glad I didn't, because sitting through 90 minutes of 0-0 only for it to go to extra time and one goal to be scored, yeah, that would have been a monumental waste of time. I'm not into soccer either, right? Like it's the one field sport that I will actively try to miss out on actually watching. In fact, I watched the hurling yesterday, of all things. So where have we been the last couple of weeks? We've had a trip back home for a wedding, and that was fun. It was one of my best man's wedding. I was a groomsman. Incredible weekend, heavy out weekend of drinking, and yeah, that's pretty much all that happened that weekend. But since then, we've just been back here in Marbella in routine, just lapping it up before the next event, which I have this weekend, which is Monegros Desert Festival. So I've been looking forward to this for a while. Myself and Emma were meant to go initially, but yeah, Emma can't go because of reasons, so I'm just going with Lawrence, who, if you've listened to the Strength City podcast, you know who Lawrence is. So myself and him are going to go to we're really going to test the stamina. So the festival itself, it's a one-day festival. Starts this Saturday at 2 p.m. and goes all the way straight through till 12 p.m. on Sunday. There's no camping, no tents or anything like that. It's just it's essentially like an endurance event. So we're going to potentially have to do some carb loading the day before. So it's in Fraga, which is about 2 hours outside of Barcelona. So on Friday I'm going to fly up to Barca, stay there for the night in a hotel, bus to the festival on the Saturday, and then bus home on the Sunday, stay in Barcelona one more night, and then it's back to Malaga on Monday. So the kind of big theme for me this week is really just try to stay in the routine as best I can, just capitalise on some of the momentum that I have, because I've had a lot of these like social events on across the last couple of months, and you know, a lot of people will maybe push off doing a gaining phase, starting with a coach, doing a diet phase, whatever it may be, just actually starting on the go because they have things coming up. Now I've had our legal wedding, I've had our big wedding week, I've had a wedding, having this festival, we're going to Rome and in 3 weeks time, and you know, it's all about like what you do in the in-between and how much kind of momentum you can gain in those kind of like those days, those sessions where you can be on point with your training, you can be on point with your nutrition. That makes the difference. And as well, after the event, because these events I'm talking about, you know, they are including alcohol, and alcohol, you know, a lot of bodybuilders abstain from alcohol completely. I'm not one of those. Like, I will drink to my heart's content if I have some event on, like a wedding or a festival or something like that, but I bounce back really quickly. Literally the day after the event, like say for example the wedding that we went to 2 weeks ago, had one day to be hungover, right, after 3 days of drinking, and then as soon as that day was done, following day back into the gym. Didn't necessarily want to be back in the gym, but had to do it. Had to get myself back in routine because nobody else is going to do it for me. Same day, get back into a flow with nutrition. You know, just keep on top of protein intake, fiber intake, hydration. And while that initial week can be a little bit slower from a train performance point of view, feeling a little bit watery, you know, just the action of getting back as soon as you can just makes all of the difference. So yeah, now we're back since that wedding for 2 weeks, and I'm hitting PBs again in my training. So it's like, you know, how much of a difference or offset did the event really have? But it is life gains. Now it is Monday today, so today we have upper body training session to walk through. We have check-ins. I've pretty much most of my check-ins done for the day now. I've got maybe half of them to go, and that's been helped by a slight adjustment to my morning routine. So you'll see there, I was on the couch with the baby Samson and Emma. So one thing I used to do before Samson came along was I would sit down on the couch, I'd do a little bit of journaling, kind of planning out my day with pen and paper, do a bit of reading and do a little bit of study. But since he came along, when he was going through his manic hyper phase at the start, where you couldn't sit down on the couch without him like trying to get you to play with him, that just kind of fell by the wayside, and I wasn't doing it. I'm just going straight from being awake, have a shower, coffee at the desk, and just starting work. So I wasn't really kind of getting much kind of time to myself, other than just time being like stimulated by, you know, my WhatsApp messages or thinking about everything that I need to do from like a content perspective or something for that day, or other work related tasks. I didn't have any kind of time for to feed my brain with, you know, study or some good books, which I do really like doing. I really do like reading. It's something I missed out on a lot. So getting back into the flow of that just means I have to get up 30 minutes earlier if I want to start work at the same time. So waking up at 5:30, that gives me time to do that bit of journaling, bit of planning for the day, and yeah, a bit of study as well. So long may that routine continue, because I just feel so much better after doing that. And just that extra 30 minutes of the day, it does go a long way to being that little bit more productive. Alright, so that is my check-in feedback back from AJ, and long story short, no changes to the plan because everything is going swimmingly as per usual. So there have been 0 calorie adjustments since April, and the main reason for that being is I'm still responding, right? I think a lot of people assume that when you are working with a coach, you're going through a gain phase, you're going through a diet phase, that you'll be getting frequent calorie adjustments. And the thing is, like, you should only be getting calorie adjustments as your body weight, as your body's no longer responding, whether that's you're no longer losing body weight, you're no longer gaining weight. Other than that, if you are able to kind of sustain the same level of calories and still get the same result, that's the ideal scenario, because it means you don't have to change anything within your day, your structure of your meals, and you can just keep to your same routine. Like, I'm in a really fortunate position with like what calories I'm taking in. I'm taking in 4,100 calories across the day, and I am still quite hungry coming up to meals. Like, I've got good appetite. I'm getting really good return on investment from a training perspective. So I don't really feel like there's, like, I don't have any desire to have like higher calories that are going to give me more flexibility. Like with 4,100 calories, you could be very, very flexible, and that's been quite obvious across like the last couple of months, given I've had so much to manage. Like, I've had my own wedding to manage, I've had a stag to manage, I've had a wedding to manage, I have this festival that's coming weekend, and I've had multiple meals out too. But being able to have such a degree of flexibility with the high calories that I'm on, and also having the experience in the game, I'm able to make smart choices in anticipation for meals out, or even around those weekends where things are a little bit more kind of like, you know, alcohol centric. I'm still trying to make decent choices in regards to eating a certain amount of food across the day, eating a certain amount of protein, keeping an eye on things like fiber and getting some plants where I can. And this has allowed me to essentially kind of keep to a perfect rate of gain for the most part across the last while. So I've gained 4.5 kilos across like the last 20 odd weeks, which is really ideal, you know. And I haven't had much of a decrease in how lean I am. Like, I'm still pretty lean, still got like abs, still got quite good vascularity across my arms. Am I losing some detail across like the likes of the striations of my shoulders, and maybe not as having deep separation in my quads? Yeah, but that's to be expected when you're going through gaining phase, you know. And I have 6 weeks left on this gaining phase, I think, or at least as per the timeline. But again, I know that AJ doesn't necessarily like to stick to the timelines too rigidly if there is still momentum to be gained and body composition is still a good spot. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, between now to then, just going to continue kind of following the processes best I can and listen to the bit of advice that AJ gives me. Like, AJ's role, of course, like one thing he does is like help with some program adjustments and, you know, calorie adjustments by using the data to guide his decision, as well as like not just the weight data, but how my physique is looking. But the other thing he gives me is just that accountability. There are times in which I want to make the calorie increase, to push things a little bit harder, to go a little bit faster, or to even make changes to my training program, which would be a little bit more heavy-handed. I'll kind of suggest to him program adjustments with the likes of different exercises and stuff like that, and he'll green light it or red light it. But, you know, if I was covering myself, there would be definitely times across this process where, you know, I maybe say, okay, legs are not growing as quickly as I'd like them to, you know, because I'm looking at things too myopically. I'm looking at things on a week-to-week basis. And then I make a big kind of volume adjustment, and all of a sudden I've got knee pain, and I'm not able to squat, and I need to bring things back down. Or I push my calories too hard, too quick, I get too fat too quick, and then all of a sudden I want to diet. Whereas having the coach there to keep me at pace, that's going to get me to my next phase in the best shape and have the least amount of work to do in the next phase of my process, which is going to be a diet phase. Then that's as much value as I could expect, you know. So he's playing an absolute blinder, and you know, it's really, really handy having him in my corner, especially since I am also managing a lot of other people with their process too. It frees up a lot of mental space because I don't have to think about my own process. I just need to do. So with that said, it is 11 a.m. I need to get into my remaining check-ins and then lunch training. Let's go. So we have upper body today. No change to this session from the last time I recorded it, which was a couple of weeks back. I'll put the card up there because in that video I went through a lot of tips from an exercise execution perspective that I use. So I probably won't belabor the points and repeat myself today. Today I might even just do a voiceover of the actual session itself. We'll see what happens. I brought the microphone anyway, just in case I do get if I feel inspired, I have something to share. Because actually, it's always when I'm doing something active that my best ideas come to me. Whether that is out for a walk, or that's doing cardio, in the gym, it's always where I get like the best kind of like moments of like, okay, that would be an impactful piece of content or interesting idea or something that sitting on my laptop and trying to come up with that same idea, I wouldn't have been able to, you know? Some of it is inspired by what I'm doing in the gym. Some of it is inspired, honestly, by people watching. I know you shouldn't judge people when they're in the gym, and I try not to judge, but, you know, when you see people doing exercises, like, incorrectly, or they're just doing random things that, like, you know, you think they could be best served by doing something else, it definitely serves as a kind of point to say, okay, you know what, this piece of content that I have to share would definitely help this person, and probably help a lot of other people out there. So that's you know, where I get a lot of my motivation, you could say. Now this session, I have been making some pretty steady strides with. Like, this upper body session hasn't changed in a long time, from exercise point of view, from a volume point of view. It's all been pretty much the exact same. And naturally, when you are following exercises like that so consistently, you're not going to see major changes in terms of progressions, certainly on the week to week. In fact, some weeks I'm up, some weeks I'm down, some weeks I'm the same. But when I do look at the trend line, say 4 to 6 weeks, it's all up. And that's just what happens when you are more advanced. You are training on the same program for a long period of time. Progression is just naturally gets slower. And a lot of people will think that, okay, well, at that point, I need to have a change, I need to rotate out exercises, change volume, change something. And a lot of times it could just be, this is the rate of
the rate of progression that you should expect at this level of advancement. And that can, for some people, would be hard when they're used to what it feels like to progress as a beginner or even intermediate, where you're progressing pretty much every single week. But progression won't always be like that. You know, when I was doing powerlifting, if I wasn't getting progression every single week, I would think that there's something wrong. The programming is off. And I think now I'm a little bit more, well, I'm obviously more mature to realize that, you know, I could be making a half rep of a progression internally, right? So overload, where we think about what we need to do, or the adaptation, right? So your body, when you go into the gym, your body's making an adaptation after the training session, providing you've recovered enough. And then the next week, you hopefully will be able to do more because you've adapted, right? So you get stronger because you've adapted. You don't add weight to the bar to adapt. Now, what if my adaptation rate for this session is a half a rep up from what I did last week, or a quarter of the rep up, right? That will look like I haven't progressed at all, because I'm always kind of quantifying progress by a full rep. Or what if it's been a half a kilo progression, but the smallest unit of progression I have is 1.25. You could be making that progress, and the extra rep will take 3-4 weeks to materialize. Extra bit of weight in the bar maybe take 3-4 weeks to materialize, but it is coming. And if you can say that, okay, I'm recovering pretty well session to session, I'm definitely not losing strength, reps are not dropping, volume performance is not dropping off. Yeah, I have not like any extreme levels of soreness, like new levels of soreness that are popping up when you're training. You're not having much issues with aches and injuries, and sleep, nutrition, all in a good spot. It's likely a case that it's coming, and it's just not lining up with your expectations. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm having right now. A little bit longer to get those extra PBs, but you know, when you work hard and it takes a while for the PBs to come, you savor them that little bit more. All right, we are eventually back from the gym. I completely forgot that I was actually meant to be training with somebody today, so it made even more sense not to get mic'd up, because I never met him before. I met through Instagram. He is actually one of Coach Baxter's clients, and Kyle was on my podcast a couple of episodes ago, so you can scroll back and listen to that or watch it on the YouTube channel. So this is the power of the internet, right? Like, he's competing in his first natural bodybuilding show in 7 weeks' time. He just followed my training session. He's here on holidays with his wife. Yeah, great to connect. It always makes those long training sessions go a lot quicker. And, you know, having that extra little bit of like motivation when you're training along with somebody does allow you to push that a little bit harder. But they always do take that little bit longer to get through. Because naturally, you know, first time meeting, you're chatting between your sets, rest times extend a little bit longer than usual. But look, socializing, right? Like, no man's an island. It's important to make connections. It's how you get anywhere in life, and how you develop more of a circle of community. And it's really important to have that if you want to have longevity in something like bodybuilding. But we're back for our post-workout meal.
So this is meal 3. So we have rice, beef, spring onions, pepper, mushroom, carrot, onion, garlic, cashew butter, and crispy chili oil. I'm actually out of honey, so I need to get a decent bit of honey for my next meal, or else I'll be under in carbs. So I'm gonna get this in, have a little bit of work to do before I go on a walk. And yeah, that is pretty much almost gonna be the day finish up. Alright, so we're gonna have my little bit of even flexibility. So I have vanilla creamy here. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw in 4 of these Kinder Bread bites. I'm gonna throw in 2 cookies. Boom. Bit of extra almond milk because it blends up a little bit better on the respin. Throw that in, and that is dessert for the day. Well, it's not really dessert, it's just meal 4. I haven't actually had the Kinder in this yet. Probably won't be able to tell for a few bites. Well, the creamy in general is such a key kitchen brides. Anyway, that's the end of the vlog. Before I do finish up, I want to say a big shout out to anybody who has subscribed. Whether this year, the last few years, we have finally hit 1,000. Really satisfying. I did a big push at the start of this year, because it was a goal I kept falling short of, and I just made an effort to put out at least a video a week. Whether that's a vlog, I leaned a lot more into informative videos this year too, and posting in shorts like every fucking day, and it has paid off. Now obviously 1,000 is small fish, but it's the initial milestone for YouTube, so happy to have crossed it. But I'm not going to get complacent, because the next big journey is towards 10k. So if you've stuck around to the end of this video, if you've stuck around watching my videos at all, I appreciate you. And yeah, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. So yeah, that's it. Have a great week, and we will catch you in the next one. I think we're going to give a crack at vlogging this weekend at Montenegro, so stay tuned for that. Good luck.